Hello and welcome to my latest YouTube video where I'll count down my top 12 back issue goals for 2020. Stick around to the end of the video as I'll share with you my first back issue pickup purchase of 2020. I've been on YouTube for about 4 months now and things are going fantastic. I want to salute like I always do and give a shout out to some recent and new subscribers to the channel. Mark Spector Comics, Immortal Biggie Shack is with us. Burke Family 54 Comics. Steve, I've enjoyed chatting with you on Instagram and enjoyed some of your content and live feeds. Bub's Comics is with us. Great to have you here, Bub. Comic Ron. The Comic Intellect. And then I don't know if that's a P afterwards or if it's the symbol like a tongue sticking out. Pages, Films, and Plastics is with us on the channel as a subscriber. And JPRK31 Sports Card Channel as well are all new and recent subscribers to my channel. Thank you so much. I've been on YouTube for about 4 months. We're close to 75 subscribers. I'm really happy with the progress. Couldn't do it without you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button. The notification bell will also alert you when new content is added to this channel. It's a great way to show support to my channel, and I truly appreciate it. Plus, you'll earn yourself a shout out as well. So in today's video, we're going to count down, as I mentioned, my top 12 back issue goals for 2020. This was not an easy list to put together. The criteria that I used was it had to be a book that I never owned before. So I didn't want to get an upgraded copy of something that I already owned. No foreign books, just had to be a book that I didn't own before. That's the criteria for the countdown. And let's get it started now with number 12. This was more a recent addition to my top 12 list. A few months ago, I saw some folks have been picking up ROM 31. This is the second appearance of Rogue. Now, I also do want ROM 32 because issue 31 continues into issue 32, but for the sake of this video, only ROM 31 is making the cut at number 12. I do have the first appearance of Rogue from the Avengers Annual number 10. This is her second appearance. It's not an expensive book at all. I'm not the biggest ROM fan in the world. As a matter of fact, when I looked up on my CLZ app, I had a couple, maybe 3 ROM comic books, and I think it's because they were tie-ins to Alpha Flight, or Alpha Flight had guest starred, and that's why I had those books. So ROM 31, the second appearance of Rogue at number 12, for my collecting goals of 2020. Turning to number 11, number 11 and number 10 tie in together. Number 11 is Brave and the Bold 62. This is a Starman Black Canary crossover that actually features the original Huntress, not the daughter of the Earth 2 Batman, but the original Huntress and her husband, Sportsmaster. They are villains. I'm very interested in adding this to my list, as well as at number 10, the issue beforehand, Brave and Bold 61, also Starman and Black Canary. This time they take on the Mist. The reason that these two books almost did not end up on my list, I have the Black Canary archives. I've had it for a long time. It's still sealed. I've never cracked the plastic on it. These two issues are reprinted on that book, so I kept bouncing back and forth of, do I want the originals? Because I know to find the originals in mint condition, that's not going to happen. Or am I just happy having the reprint comics? And I'm like, well, you've had the reprint comics for a long time and you've never read them. But I think I really want these two issues. So in the end, they end up on the list. You've heard me say for a while now that I've kind of been on this big Black Canary kick lately. So it's not surprising that these two would end up on the list. That advances us now to number 9. The Teen Titans Drug Abuse. The Teen Titans Drug Awareness Specials, they did 3 different comic books for these, and I'm looking for number 3. I've never had number 3. You know, these books aren't too hard to find right now. They're not expensive at all. You can find them in the dollar bins and the cheaper bins. But at the time when these books came out, they were very hard to find and very sought after. That has changed as history progressed. I do have number 1 and number 2, and even got upgraded copies of number 1 and number 2 a few months ago at a convention, but I've never owned number 3, and that's the only one I'm missing to complete the set. So that's why that's checking in at number 9 on today's list. Now it's time for number 8. Number 8 is All-Star Comics number 60. As a matter of fact, if I pick up that issue, I will have 58 through 74, which is the entire Bronze Age run of All-Star Comics. You know, there's several books that I'm only missing one issue of to have the complete run. There's a Savage She-Hulk, Spider-Woman. There's a 4-star Spectacular, I believe, that I'm only missing one issue, and then I'll have them all. And I thought, well, all of those comics books should probably end up on my top 12 list. And then the more that I started thinking about it, I don't know if they're the top 12 that I want of all time. And that's kind of what I wanted this list to be, is the top 12 of all time. 4-star Spectacular. I think I might have misspoke a moment ago. But All-Star 60, the third appearance of Power Girl, does make the list at number 8. I'd be quite happy to have that. I also want to get the Only Legends Live Forever hardcover reprint that was just released as well, even though I have all of the individual issues. That comes in at number 8 tonight. That book I've seen at all sorts of price ranges. I've seen it very high, then I've seen it in the exact same condition for like $3 or $4. So I don't know where we're going to end up price-wise. I just hope it ends up in the collection. Number 7, we're going to have an X-Men book on this list. I have the Days of Future Past Part 1, so I need to get X-Men 142, which is Days of Future Past Part 2. I almost consider putting a different X-Men issue. I really want to get the full run of Phoenix appearances from 101 through 137, and I have quite a few of them. And I know that this issue does not feature Phoenix per se, not in the incarnation of Phoenix from 101 through 137. But I know that Days of Future Past is a great story. My 141 is in amazing shape. I'd like to get one that matches that condition for 142 and add that to my list. Superman vs. Shazam. This is a book that completely sold by it just by the cover. I've never read it. I've always wanted to own it. It's one of the larger sized books. All New Collector's Edition C58 is the official cataloging number for that. But I think it looks like it's a great read. I think it would be a bunch of fun. I almost consider putting a Shazam number 1 on my list. I've seen some people have those on their walls behind them in their videos or have acquired them recently, and I'm kind of intrigued. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't make a list sometime in the future. Here's another book that was difficult to narrow down which one I was going to put on my list. Batman number 291 is what I settled on. There's a 4-issue story arc of Who Killed Batman. And this is the first issue of the 4. I'd really like to get 293. That cover means a lot to me, but for the sake of a top 12 list, it didn't make the cut this time. But I love this cover. I'm intrigued by it. This issue covers Catwoman's testimony of where she was and if she's the one who killed Batman. I know how the story ends up, and I know the general premise of the story, but I've never actually read it. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And you see the book pretty frequently. It usually has a nice price attached to it as well, but hopefully we can pick up a copy sometime this year. In a lot of my previous videos, you've heard me mention that I want to get JLA 73. It's part of a 2-part crossover, the yearly crossover that the JLA would do with the JSA. So I've added JLA 73 to my list, as well as JLA number 74, which comes in at number 3 on my list. This is the final Golden Age appearance of Black Canary. I acquired 75 a few months back, which actually made my last video, my top 12 books, back issues that I acquired in 2019. But I really want to get 73 and 74, which come in at number 4 and number 3, respectively, on my list. That brings us up to the runner-up, number 2. This book I've almost bought several times, and I've come close to pulling the trigger many times, but just haven't yet. It is Marvel Spotlight number 32, first appearance of Spider-Woman. I do have to admit, I do prefer the Spider-Woman after they kind of modified the costume a little bit in Spider-Woman #1 and made her hair more visible. I don't like the concealed look. I know it does look much more like Spider-Man, but I'd really like to get this book and have a nice condition quality of my comic when I'm able to obtain it. Come close many, many times. You see this book pretty frequently, so it's not that hard to find. And I'm hoping that before this year is over, the trigger will get pulled. Now we're up to #1. As you see, the graphic is a little bit different than I've shown you on the other ones. I'm hoping to get any issue of Sensation Comics that features Wonder Woman, of course, from Volume 1, The Golden Age. Wonder Woman was in the first 106 issues of Sensation Comics. I don't care what issue I get. I don't have any of the Volume 1s. I just want a book that has a cover to it, and the cover is attached, front and back. So it's my goal to get any issue of Sensation Comics Volume 1 into my collection. I don't own any. I've wanted this since I was a little kid. I always thought if I get an issue of Sensation Comics, I've really accomplished something. I hit a huge goal that I set as a kid by getting Wonder Woman #106 on up a few months back. So I think for 2020, to accomplish any issue of Sensation Comics from Volume 1 would be my #1 goal. So before we wrap up this video, let's take a look at my one and only so far 2020 back issue purchase. First of all, what a gorgeous cover, right? You are looking at the Best of DC #17. It's a digest size. The Many Lives of Supergirl. Great George Perez, Dick Giordano cover. This issue reprints 6 different stories that prominently featured Supergirl. Action Comics #256, 285, and 318. Adventure Comics #424. Supergirl Volume 1 from 1972, issue #1. And Superman Family #165. Really happy to get this. I've never owned this. This is an amazing shape too. The price was too good to pass up. It is worth it alone just for this beautiful cover. Isn't that something? So I did want to share my first back issue purchase of 2020 with you. Thanks again for the support on the channel. Looking forward to connecting with you soon. Leave a comment. Let me know what comics you are hoping to get in 2020. Let me know if you have any of the ones that I listed. Let me know any other comments that you want to share as well. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.